So in this video, we will see how we can create a Azure pipeline using the AWS Kubernetes service. So go to the portal of AWS and click on, just enter your username and password to log in into it. Search for EKS, and click on the Elastic Kubernetes service. So create a cluster and give the cluster name, I would say React AWS, and click on the next. I'll select 3 subnet only. I'll remove this F, D, and E. Yeah, and go to the next. Go to the next. Go with the default everything and click on the create. So this may take a little while. Status is still in the creating. So meanwhile, what we can do is we can create our repository. So we will push our images into the Docker Hub. So I'll go to the repository and create repository for the same. So give it the name as React AWS and click on the create. And then I'll also create a project on the dev.azure.com. Name it's React AWS, and our project will be created. Yeah, so now we will go to the command line and go to the working folder. Just first of all, let's create this uh, local project for this React.js. So npx create React app and give the name React AWS. So this may take a little while. So now let's go to the folder AWS and just try npm start. So it should start application on our local. So if you go to the browser, our React application is running. So now let's close it and go to the repository so that we can get a URL to sync with our local project. Click over here and paste into the folder. Git push and copy this command and paste it. This should synchronize our local project with a remote repository. So go to the project and click. Yeah, so now it is there. So now what we'll do, create a Docker file and in the Docker file just paste this command. This is nothing but a simple uh, piece of code for building and pushing Docker image to the Docker repository. So this is a build code in fact, and the push will be the task from Azure pipeline. So this is a base image and we have working directory, that is app, and then package JSON we will copy over there so that in the using the npm install it can load all the packages. Then we have a npm run build, and then we will have a command run start in the containers. So let's commit it and then also create a folder called Kubernetes K8s. The file name is a deploy, which we have a deployment and service, yeah, code is there. So now this is our code and I'll just change it to AWS because this is from my previous. project. Okay, so now we have a deployment and then we have a service one. So deployment has a basic metadata, and then this portion is important, that like we have a name and image URL where we will get our image, and we'll pull our image and run onto the container, and the port will be exposed as a 3000. And then we have a service will take the 3000 as a target port, and his main port is a 80. So and the type is load balancer, so outside public access URL or endpoint or IP address will be created. So let's commit it. And now create the pipeline, a basic pipeline, nothing fancy. Just clear your repo, select your repo and create, and just click on the node.js. Make sure that currently the pipeline that we have created, or sorry, project that we have created, it has an 18 version. So just change it to 18 and save and run for this basic build, and then we'll move towards the Docker and Kubernetes. Okay, so basic pipeline got success. So now we will create a Docker task and the Kubernetes task. Kubernetes is still in the progress, so we can at least create a Docker task. So go to the project setting. You need a service connection to connect to the Docker repository. Select the Docker repository registry. Click on the next Docker Hub and the user ID and password. Just verify it. Verification successful. So just put a Docker connection name and click on this grant and verify and save. So a Kubernetes service created, but in case of AWS, you also need a node group separately. You'll have to create it. So add the node group and type any ng AWS, and I'll select a role. Make sure that you create a role to access the node groups, and I'll go with default and click on create. This may also take a while. So our Kubernetes cluster has created. So now uh, so we can go to the command line and get the config. So this is the command AWS EKS. So make sure that AWS CLI is installed on your machine and EKS CTL is installed on your machine. So AWS EKS update kubeconfig, give your cluster name and give the region. Should work. Okay, the new context has been added. Our file has been merged. Now we need to create a service account to get the connection from Azure pipeline to Kubernetes service, AWS Kubernetes service. So I have the file sa.yaml, and it is a simple block of code, nothing but service account and a secret related to the service account. So first of all, a 4 line block. This is a simple metadata and service account, and then you have a secret connected to the service account, and then you have a role to create, update, and all accesses to the Kubernetes service and the role binding towards our service account. So now let's run it. kubectl apply f and sa.yaml. Okay, just now go to the your pipeline and create a new service connection, sorry, and search for the Kubernetes. Click on the next and click on the service account and click again in a service recommendation command and paste over here. You will get the URL endpoint. So just paste over here, and to get the secret, just paste this. Sorry, go again back to and copy this. Okay, so what is the secret? So this is our secret, and we do not have any sort of a namespace. We have created the default. So output should be a JSON file. Just copy the JSON file and paste it in the secret dialog box and give it the name as cube connection and grant access and save it. So now go to the pipeline and edit the pipeline. So we have to put a Docker task and Kubernetes task. So let's first create a Docker task and click your Docker connection, container repository, Docker IO slash my user ID slash our project name, and then just put tag as the latest, and now put the Kubernetes, deploy to Kubernetes, and click select the service connection. Everything should be default except for this K8s, this is our folder name, and deploy dot YAML. Okay, so all look good. Edit. So two tasks. This is the task of a CI, and this is a simple task for the CD, the deployment. Okay, so we have everything. The Dockerfile, Docker connection, service connection. This is the Kubernetes service connection. We have Dockerfile path, and then we have Docker repository name. So we are all set to go. So let's save it and run the application or pipeline, I would say, simple words, and just monitor it. So this may take some time. So our pipeline got started. I'll just cancel the latest one because automatically. So this may take a little while. So our application got success. So let's check and verify whether our ReactJS application is running on the Kubernetes or not. So this is the external URL, and go to the browser. Look like some issues. I'll check that. Yeah, it's running. It took little while to get the load balancer up for the first time. So we have successfully deployed the React.js application on AWS using the Azure pipeline. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.